Welcome back to Luther Sewell's Woven in Time by Dugan. I'm Dugan and Luther. Today I got Nathan Sewell with me, Nathan Eldon Sewell. Nathan is a nephew of mine, and right now, at least when he's with me, I decided the other day, I don't know if I've mentioned this on video or not, but um, my girls talk about being the favorite daughter, and my grandkids talk about being the favorite grandkid. Uh, And I think maybe some of my nephews, maybe even some of my nieces, talk about being the favorite. But I figured out the other day, I write music, I write poems, and I can't decide which one's the favorite. Sometimes I read them and I think, man, that means so much to me. I really like that. That's my favorite. But when I pick the next one up later on, maybe another day, and maybe a week or so, I pick it up, I read, man, that's my favorite. I think that's the way with my nephews. Right now, Nate's with me. Nobody else is around. So Nate's my favorite. If I'm with Nathaniel, he's my favorite. If I'm with Tyler, he's my favorite. Whoever I'm with, that's my favorite. And the same with my nieces. Um, I but that's not why we're here. I want to tell this is about family and about family history and stuff. I want to tell a story about Nate. And Nate, you can join in and say what you want to say whenever you want to add something or ask a question or make a comment. Um, when Nate and I are alone, Nate talks a lot to me. Um, he's not real that outgoing when he's in front of a big crowd. So, um, but Nate, several years ago, I don't remember when, in the 1990s sometime. Um, yeah, Nate was working, had a job he really liked. He was doing custodial work at a school, and he really enjoyed the job, and he ended up losing the job, really through no fault of his own. But anyway, he did lose the job, and he was really kind of down and out. He wasn't doing much, and he was sitting around home, and his mom and his dad was worried about him. I was worried about him. His Aunt Gwen was worried about him because he loves to do things. Nate used to really. He's gotten a little older now, and he's gained a little bit of weight, and he's not as nearly as energetic as he used to be. But he never stopped. He was kind of like my oldest one, Jill. He just was going to do something all the time. So I come up with the idea. I think my grandkids and I had started uh, D&E scrap metal, which was for David and Emil, two of my grandsons, in our neighborhood. Well, Nate lived in a much bigger neighborhood. Matter of fact, I think I counted it was 199 homes in his subdivision. And one day, Nate and I printed up a little flyer, and we knocked on every door in that neighborhood, talked to as many people as we could, and left flyers where we couldn't talk to people. We told them we were starting a scrap metal business, and we called it. Oh, here it is. We called it Nathan Scrap Metal. And I want to show you this. He, yeah, his aunt Sherry um, had these printed off for him, and it says Nathan Scrap Metal. At the bottom, it says we meddle with metal, and we passed these things out. Nate would go. He kept them in his pocket, and he picked up a lot of business for us. I remember one night, him and his mom, I think, was at Walmart or somewhere. His mom and dad, and they saw somebody I think that his dad had worked with before, and she was an older woman, and she had a bunch of grandkids, and she said, "Oh my goodness!" She told Nate about a place. She told him where she lived, and we went out there. We picked up about 4 or 5 washers and dryers that she had just discarded and put back behind her house. And televisions,
Television was a little harder to
yeah,
do.
television was a lot of work because to get anything out of a television, you had to break it down because the scrap yards didn't want the whole TV because you had a lot of wasted space in the TV. A lot of times the casings were not even recyclable, so only the some of the guts was. But inside you had magnets and you had some copper, a little bit of copper and some silver. You had some pretty valuable stuff if you break it down. So we got a bunch of television. We got some washers and dryers. I think maybe we got some old bicycle frames. Uh, Maybe some lawnmowers from this one lady. We got a lot of stuff from this one lady. Uh, but we got refrigerators, hot water heaters. We, as time went by, we got a lot of stuff. We collected once a week from his neighborhood.
And I think one time we found somebody in the ward that had like a trailer load full and brought it over, and I was sorting through.
There was one lady, older lady. She was a widow lady. She called us and she had a bunch of car parts, big heavy stuff. I mean, it was a lot of stuff back behind her house, and she took us back there and helped uncover it, and we hauled it out. We had a lot of people helping us, but once a week, I don't know, I'll say on a Thursday, we'd get up about whatever time we got started. We'd go through the neighborhood, and every house we had buckets set at. We would we'd pick up from the bucket. A lot of times there may be a note on the bucket. Sometimes people would come out, or sometimes we'd have a refrigerator sitting out beside the bucket with a sign on it, please take, or whatever. So, and it also, we got to where we were getting phone calls from people, and we were working more than one day a week collecting scrap metal.
Yeah, I remember one day we went right down from our subdivision. We went into a guy's garage and pulled down a refrigerator. I had to call him with the truck to bring the truck to put it on. Actually put it on the bed.
Yeah, but we had a really good business going, and a lot of work. And the deal was, I'm not sure I got the best part of this deal, but the deal was that we would out of every time we would sell, because when we first started, sometimes it'd take us 2 or 3 weeks to get a load big enough to make it worthwhile to go sell to the scrap yard. But after we really got into business, after a few months or something, we're selling almost every week, and we're making pretty good money. But my deal that I made with Nate, it really wasn't that good a deal for me in the end. My deal was that when we sold, the first thing I do is go fill my truck up with gas. Well, that usually didn't take back then. It probably didn't take $10 to fill my truck up with gas, and then we would go out to eat. And Nate loves to go to a restaurant and eat. And one of our favorite places was Texas Roadhouse, right? Yeah. And went to a place called Stevie B's too. It was a pizza buffet. We like to go there. But we went wherever we decided that week. We'd go buy gas, then we'd go eat, and then we'd deposit the rest of the money. After a while, when we started making some decent money, we opened up a bank account and we would deposit the money. The account was in mine and Nate's name, and we deposited money in the savings account. I don't think we had a checking. We just put it in the savings account, and that we did that for several years. It was a lot of fun for me, and a lot of good experiences. I think it was a lot of fun for Nate. Aunt Gwen got sicker. She was not doing well when we started this. Her health was failing her, and in December, I guess it was, of 2015, she went in the hospital. And she was in the hospital for 40 some days, and nobody else had the enthusiasm that Nate and I did about the business. So the business kind of dwindled. I didn't mention, though, I just happened to notice Nate's got on the vest that he bought us for Nathan's Scrap Metal. Right there it says Nathan's Scrap Metal. On the other side, it's got his name. I had one just like this, had Nathan's scrap metal over here, and mine had Dugan. His has got Nate. Has it got Nate or Nathan?
Yep.
Um, it's got Nathan.
Yeah.
It's got Nathan, and mine had Dugan. I don't. They don't call me by my right name, so because nobody knows it. But we that was a lot of. We made some money. I remember the first year we did it. I think Nate had a really good time Nate, because Nate doesn't drive, um, and Nate, kind of in a family, if you don't work, you don't really have a lot of money that's yours. So he was working, and me and him was managing his money. So just before Christmas, me and him went Christmas shopping for his mom and dad and all of his siblings. He's got a brother and 3 sisters. And Nate bought something for him. He bought whatever he wanted to because he pretty much didn't have a budget. I think we may have said, okay, we don't want to spend more than this, but we went shopping. And I don't remember what he got, but I do know the joy, not only that I had, but that Nate had, because he was able to buy something for everybody in his family, his mom, his dad, all of his siblings. Do you remember that, Nate?
Yeah.
He was able to buy it, and it was a total surprise to everybody in the family because me and Nate are the only ones that knew what they got on Christmas morning from Nate. And I think that was exciting for everybody that year. And we may have done that for a couple of years. Um, and quite frankly, if circumstances hadn't been where I we couldn't do it, I wasn't able to do it because when Gwen was in the hospital, I was there with her every day. I slept, ate, I did everything at the hospital, so I wasn't able to help Nate anymore. And eventually, we just closed the accounts out, and Nate run away with the money and spent it all on wild women. I guess I'm not sure what he spent it on, but uh, it did go defunct. But it was a good time while it lasted, and it lasted for well over a year. If it didn't last for a couple of more years, um, but it was good memories for me and Nate. I remember one time I busted the back window out of my pickup truck. We had some long pipes. It was a little bit longer than the bed of my truck, and I was trying to get it. I was kind of pushing them up, and there was a bunch of them together, but it had some stuff piled on. I was just trying to make room for them, and putting them up there so they wouldn't fall off. And pushing one, I pushed one up. I pushed it real hard, and something must have give way because it took off. It looked like I'd shot it out of a cannon. It went right back. It went right through my back window in my truck. Do you remember that, Nate?
Yeah.
I had glass on the back of my truck, so I had to get that replaced. Uh, but it was a lot of fun, and maybe not every time, but about every time uh, we would go sell, I would ask Nate. I'd say, Nate, how much you think? How much you think you made today? Do you remember what you'd tell me, Nate?
Probably, probably 100. Probably we probably had like 100, like a full truckload.
Yeah, but how many dollars would you tell me you thought we made?
Probably 100 because they
Nah, he didn't tell me. I tell you what he told me.
they used to give it in cash, but then they gave it in check.
Yeah, when we first started going, they'd pay us in cash. We liked that, didn't we?
Yeah.
But Nate used to tell me every day. I'd say, Nate, how much money do you think we got? We'd load that truck down, and sometime that little old truck, we had it full. We'd have to strap stuff on, and
we had so many rotor on it, like the back wheel went completely
one time,
down.
do you remember one time we had a bunch of bags of aluminum cans?
Yeah.
And they fell off over there on Ridge Road.
Yeah.
And we had to stop, and oh man, we had a mess. We had a mess out there. We're picking, and one bag hit and scattered to the left side across the road from us. And then there were a couple, I don't know, I think maybe a strap broke or something, or when one give way anyway, a couple others just followed. And we're picking tin can or aluminum cans up out of people's front yard, and we're trying to kick them off the road so we don't get run over. and because Ridge Road's a pretty busy street, and we uh, we had to pick those up and
Yeah.
restack and stuff. But we had a lot of good times doing that, and just a lot of good times together. I I learned to love. Well, I did anyway, because I've got letters from Nate when he was little, and he probably don't even know I still got these. But he used to write. He wrote me a couple letters when they lived in Las Vegas and we lived in Georgia. A couple times I got letters, and it was just addressed to Dugan, and it had my address on it. And then I'd open them up, and Nate had written me a little letter. I've still got some of those. I wish I had those. I may even show you another time when I run across them one time. But Nate is a pretty special nephew of mine. I love him a lot, but I don't think I can tell you. I don't want to hurt Nate's feelings, but I don't really love him any more than I do any of the rest of my nephews, because I've got some pretty special nephews, and I love them all. Um, Even those that I don't see anymore, I still love them all, and and I miss them. I have memories of all my nephews, uh, very pleasant memories, loving memories of a lot of family members, and I'm glad that I'm able to do this and to record this and record the fact that I love my nephews, I love my nieces, I love my family. They're still my people, and we come from pretty good stock. So now, Nate, tell everybody bye. Say something, Nate.
Bye.
And I will tell you now, please like, subscribe, mash the bell, and tell people about us. And until we see each other again, y'all be pretty.